is, where's my happy pill? So I hear this question a lot. And like I said, different iterations is kind of like, if I don't have my medicine, what's going to happen to me? This medicine makes me feel better. And that can be that can be a, I wouldn't say double-edged sword. It can be a very confusing statement or question. How else have I heard this question? Just different variations of, if I don't have this, I'm not as happy as I was. And I always nitpick this. So happiness is a state, it is a feeling, but it is very specific to that person based on your schema. So schema, SCHEMA, is a fancy psychological term for how you see the universe, how you understand the universe. And so happiness is all contingent. It's all based on how you interact with your universe. And that is something that is not only unique to you, it can also be the cause of a lot of grief and trauma and all sorts of stuff. And that's why therapists are trained, therapists, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, we're all trained to be able to help you identify what your schema is. And even if we don't say that, that's the framework that we're using as we are like talking to you and pulling out different bits of information and helping you manage all of that information. And so happiness is relative. It is absolutely relative to who you are as a person. It's relative to what you're doing, what your personality is, and like I said, how you see the universe. And so all of those things that I just said are all non-medicine related. That's where therapy is so very, very helpful. Different types of therapy address different types of things. So like CBT therapy addresses your thoughts and feelings and actions. Psychodynamic therapy addresses how you interact with other people. Family systems therapy addresses how you work with family systems. Insight-oriented therapy is all about, do you see what's behind different things? Do you have the ability to understand what your drive and motivators are? That sort of thing. And so all of those different approaches can help you figure out what your happiness is, where you find happiness, and what it looks like when you reach it. All right. Those are all those big things, those therapeutic ideas. Well, when it comes to a pill, if I could put that in a pill, y'all, I would just give it to you and I would be rich beyond belief. It would be awesome. And I would go and retire on a beach because I like beaches, and I would read a whole lot, and it would be, I'd just spend the rest of my life on the beach and reading. But I don't have that pill. And so I'm here in Fort Worth freezing because it's really cold outside. Wah, 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 wah. So there is no pill for happiness. If there was a happy pill, like I said, it would be out and everybody would be on it. And so when people say, I need that pill to feel happy, what we interpret that, how I interpret that is, these medications are doing certain things that allow you to be more happy, right? And it reminds me of a quote by a therapist that I can't remember, and I'm not going to take any credit for it. But essentially it says, people don't make you happy. You allow yourself to be happy when you're with them. And I was like, to me, that was one of those moments in my life, especially because I had just gotten out of some relationships that were not helpful. And so I'll say it again for emphasis. People don't make you happy. You allow yourself to be happy when you're with them. And so those are all those psychological and sociological ideas. Well, where do these pills come in? So medications like fluoxetine, which is Prozac, where sertraline, which is Zoloft, Lexapro, the generic is escitalopram, Paxil, which is paroxetine, and Celexa, which is citalopram. So those are all serotonin-based medicines. And so how do they help with happiness? Well, they help with happiness by decreasing depression. Okay, so they don't make you happy. They actually make it less likely for you to be depressed. And so I know it's a nuance, but it's a really important nuance that I talk to all my patients about, is that these medications over time will make you less depressed, so that the things that you're doing, be that therapy, be that social stuff, be that psychological things, you can do those things to build your happiness. So Medicine brings down your depression. You make yourself happy. And it's a really important distinction, but I feel like I need to go through that. The keeping in mind that when it comes to the medicine side of things, the medicines help decrease depression by blocking serotonin. And it took me a while when I was giving these talks and lectures and stuff. It took me a while to figure out I'm missing something. I was not teaching a crucial detail, which is your brain makes all of the serotonin that you need. You cannot take serotonin from outside. So like if you got a pill full of serotonin and you took it, your stomach acid would just destroy it and you'd get no serotonin, wah, 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 right? So your body actually makes serotonin from the proteins that you eat. And that's why diets are so important. You eat certain proteins, especially good proteins like chicken and fish and spinach and legumes and anything with fiber in it. And as you're eating protein, it gets broken down and absorbed into your GI tract, travels to your brain, and then your brain will convert certain proteins into serotonin. Hooray! And then you'll have that serotonin available for my medicines to push around. So the medicines that psychiatrists and other clinicians give you, it pushes those molecules around, but they do not create those molecules. And so that's why diet is so important. And when you couple a really good diet with the medicines that we give you, magic tends to happen and your depression comes down. And then when you overlay all of that with therapy so that you can find happiness and or change your construct of what happiness is, the combination of increased happiness and decreased depression leads to awesomeness. And the world is all is right in the world. And let the church say amen, right? So that's one of the reasons why when I hear happy pill, I go, oh, because that is a really, frankly, y'all, it's a really lazy way of conceptualizing what is actually a really kind of awesome and personally intensive process. I jokingly say this to people all the time. If I could give you a pill that would be to make you happy, it would be awesome. Because on the flip side, I don't want you to suffer, right? But there's a little bit of benefit from doing the work. So when you put in the work of therapy, when you put in the work of changing your diet, when you put in the work of taking the medicine, when you put in the work of coordinating all of those things, you get a really great benefit, which is you begin to feel better. And as you get to feel better, you get a better quality of life. And that's good for everybody. Okay. And so, so that is the happy pill mantra. There are other brain chemicals that are implicated in depression. So serotonin is one. Another one is called dopamine. So dopamine, if you make dopamine more available, your depression comes down. And then norepinephrine, if you make norepinephrine more available, if you make it more available. So there are medicines that block norepinephrine for these brain cells so that these brain cells over here can pick it up a lot easier. And so that will also decrease depression over time. So, and all of those medications your clinician will walk you through because they all have side effects because every medicine has a side effect. And so we tend to choose the medicine that works best with your profile based on your history. Because remember, the mystery is in the history. And so if you said, I've taken these before and they were horrible, then obviously we're not going to put you on them. If you say, my mom is on X, Y, and Z and she did great with it, we take that into consideration. It doesn't mean that we're going to give you that particular thing, but we do filter that through our brain filters to make sure that we're using the absolute best option for you. Luckily, most of the medications that treat depression, all the kind of frontline stuff, so serotonin stuff, dopamine stuff, and norepinephrine stuff, most of them are really cheap because they've been around since forever. Your clinician can walk you through the old options and the new options and your copay and blah, 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 how much things cost, because that is also really important in making sure that you can be on those medications safely for a while. Because if that medicine is $1,000 a month, that's unreasonable. So to recap our topic for today, there is no happy pill. So what do you do if you need a happy pill? Well, I don't know what to tell you because it don't exist. But make sure that you talk to your licensed mental health clinician or your PCP or whoever your medical doctor-y person is, and they can walk you through all of the options. Make sure you ask all the questions. And then when you go online and you Google whatever your medicine is, don't pay attention to half the stuff that you see, because number one, half of it probably isn't right. And then most times people tolerate them perfectly fine in the grand scheme of things. And so if you have a side effect, of course, always let your clinician know, but those are actually not very common. So